Thanks a lot, everybody who joined, and we are going to have the recording later on so that you can go through some of the aspects that we are going to discuss today. My name is Julia. I'm a DevRel at Azuro, and I'm going to talk about the main tasks of this hackathon and go through the main template project. And after that, we have DevRel from Edge and Node and the Graph, Marcus Ryan, who is going to talk about how to work with the graph queries and specifically how to work with Azuro custom queries. Because as you know, or as you might know, Azuro has built custom queries to interact with the smart contracts using the graph.
Oh, sorry, Julia, just to quickly add on to that, if anyone has any questions during this little demonstration that we have, if you look in the top right side of your screen, you'll see a little show chat box. It's a little chat box icon. Just flick that open and you will be able to type questions in there. It's probably the easiest way. So anything you guys want to ask or to cover in more detail, just click that open and we will make sure that they are answered. Take it away, Julia.
So if I may start by talking a bit about this hackathon and the main objective, the main task of this hackathon, which is to design and build a front-end template on Azuro based on the main example template that looks like this. You can clone it from the GitHub repo that you can find here in the hackathon description. It's right here under the first task. And when you clone it, you can launch it on localhost, and then you can use this project to create your own designs for new Azuro templates. So as you might know, Azuro doesn't have a UI in itself because it's a protocol, and it has different apps or front ends that are built on top of it. So we could use this metaphor of an iceberg where Azuro is everything that is below the surface. That is the tooling, liquidity, oracles, and smart contracts. And the apps and the front ends build on top of all this functionality to be able to display Azuro data in the prediction market apps. And as you can see here, there are 3 examples here of Azuro apps. Azuro-powered apps, I'm sorry, which display the data in different ways. For example, the first one is from Bookmaker XYZ. It organizes the games by highest volume, highest betting volume, and displays them as top events. Then there is GambleFuckers that has the best odds view. And, for example, DexWin that has the trending championships view. So these are only some of the ways in which you can organize Azuro data to different audiences. And this is, by the way, something that we encourage the participants to do, to think about different demographics for your end user, for your potential end user, and think what they want to have in a prediction markets app. If it's a crypto degen, then probably they don't know much about sports betting. In this case, they would definitely need the best odds view. And if they are, on the other hand, a sports betting fan, then they would know all about different championships, and they would need to have these trending championships, for example. Or they would need to have a championship bracket. And this is another way to display Azuro data. This is, by the way, a very cool idea, which, fingers crossed, someone might do during this hackathon. We've been looking at this idea for a very long time, and huge thumbs up for those who might be able to organize data in this way for real sports fans. But yeah, that's just one of the ways to do that. So going back to the hackathon and what we are doing here, by the end of this hack, first of all, you'll have a UI that can interact with Azuro smart contracts. Secondly, you'll obviously learn how to integrate Azuro SDK and toolkit into an application. And by the end of this hack, you will have created a fully functional prediction markets UI, which is great. And you can later submit it for this hackathon and also use it as your own front end and launch it and operate on it and be one of the affiliates of Azuro. So if we go back here and have another look at the architecture, so we can see that Azuro provides the tooling for the apps or the front ends to integrate all this prediction markets functionality. And when we are talking about the tooling that Azuro has, it's actually these templates, like this one I've shown you here, and the ones that participants in this hackathon will build. But these templates are all based on the SDK. And the SDK, it's written in TypeScript and designed for React apps. It has a variety of hooks that wrap GraphQL queries, but you can also use the toolkit, which is not designed for just React apps. It's written in TypeScript. It has all the GraphQL queries wrapped in very helpful utilities, but it doesn't restrict your tech stack to TypeScript only. And now that we have some understanding of Azuro's architecture, let's dive into the front-end code. I'd like to show you the code of the example app that we provide for this hackathon. We'll talk about how to create this top events component that we've seen just now here in this example app, in this template. So this top events component organizes games by highest betting volume. That's why they are called top events. It displays them in a carousel that you can navigate by clicking right and left here. And it shows them in groups of three. So there are 3 games on each slide. Now, how do we make this sort of component? First of all, let's go and find this component in compositions. And obviously, we import all the dependencies like we would do for any React app. But we also integrate the helpers from the Azuro toolkit and the Azuro SDK. And for this, we will integrate active markets and use games that help us work with different parameters of game queries, like when a game starts, how it's called, what's its status, what kind of sport it belongs to. And we will also import a helper from the Azuro toolkit called Game Order By, which helps us order or sort, filter games by different parameters that are available in this query. To query the top games, we will need to create a constant called useGames. Let me just find it one more time here. Yes, here it is. To query the top games, we will need to create this constant. In itself, useGames is a hook that fetches game data from Azuro protocol. It allows us to specify filters and sorting criteria for the data. And here we limit the number of games that are displayed in the component by 9. And we also set the turnover parameter here to sort only the top events by highest betting volume. This will fetch the top 9 events ordered by highest turnover. And when we have that, we can go ahead and build a card component. We extract the sport title and participants from the game object. to create this card component after we define the constant. It accepts a prop called game. Within it, we will need to destructure several properties from game, including sport, league, participants, start set, and title. And this card will represent a single game and display all this information about this game. Then we will need to render the game data. Here, the first div will display the sport's name. The second will show the title of the event, and the third renders the formatted date and time. So this component will render the game's title, sport, and participating teams. And to organize these cards into a slider that we've seen in the template, we will need to create a slider. And here we will use glide.js. That is a very simple way to make any slider element. And basically, these are the main elements that help us create this top events component. Then we just go ahead and bring it all together. So there are different ways to organize the data within these components. And now that we've gone through one of the files of these components, I'd like to talk about the project structure a bit. You might want to follow the structure of this template, especially when it comes to separating the business logic and the UI logic, and keeping components small and reusable. Because as the app grows, the developers will be able to navigate and add new features without cluttering the code base. I guess this is the main things that I wanted to share with you. Thanks a lot for your attention, and I hope this workshop gives you a solid foundation to start building your UI. Whether you submit it or not, it would be great to have projects built on Azuro in the future, and good luck to you all.
Perfect. Thanks, Julia. Marcus, is this your time to take over?
Yeah, thank you so much, Julia, for that. And hi, everyone. I'm Marcus. I work Dev Relations Edge and Node, building the graph. And let me share my screen real quick. The Azuro team has done a great job in preparing this unique hackathon. I really think it's something special because for the most part, I've seen a lot of hackathons that are focused on full stack development. This is not. This is particularly front end. And I think that's really powerful. I think Web3 needs powerful and easy to use front ends. And I think the graph is a part of that, where essentially I'll give those of you in the audience who don't know about the graph a really quick 1-minute overview of the graph, and then we'll get into the code. Essentially, it is a Web3 read solution where we have many, many different blockchains that are able to be indexed by the graph. And the graph is really a permissionless and decentralized group of indexers the world over, each incentivized by the GRT token. And from there, we can design some nice queries and populate our front end. So essentially, that is what the graph is in a nutshell. It is this layer, this middleware layer, if you will, between your smart contracts and your front end. And you can use GraphQL to send some queries. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of those queries that the Azuro team has done so well to create and go through that. So these are the queries in pre-match right here in this folder of toolkit src docs pre-match. These are all the
Marcus,
queries.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, you are just showing the Discord screen.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Thank you for chiming in there. Let's stop streaming and we'll try again. You were able to see the slides before, though, correct?
We were not. I don't think so. But if you start from here, it should be okay. I think
That's
it's
fine.
just Discord
Anyways,
UI.
we'll start right from here. So yes, this is the folder where there are GraphQL queries inside here, and they are all created by the Azuro team. So thanks to them. As a front-end dev, you just have to drag and drop these in. And with these queries, we have some variables that we can just drop in dynamically within our TypeScript, JavaScript, whatever we prefer. And then we can send these out to the endpoints that the team has populated in the list here. These are the public endpoints of all the different subgraphs that are available on all the different chains. Each of these represent a smart contract that is deployed onto these chains. And understanding which one you want to go to is just which smart contract you want to send the query to and get that information back. And the Azuro team has done an awesome job. I'm not sure if this is linked anywhere, Azuro team, but if this is in the docs somewhere, but this is huge. The team did a super, super awesome job for the hackathon itself by going through all the different entities and fields and defining their qualities and essentially allowing us as developers to say, hey, if we just send a query, a GraphQL query, what data are we actually getting back? What is this in plain English? And this took a lot of work. Whoever did this on the Azuro team, hats off to you, because I do understand going through databases and putting them in plain English can be a lot of work. But if I were developing and wanting to understand the data, I would really get to know this and these descriptions. Especially the most helpful entities, the game, condition, and the country, league, and sport entities, and then relaying that back to the actual queries that are being created. So just for fun, what I did was I wanted to try out some of these queries myself, and I took a look at this navigation query, and I'll just kind of walk you through how I played with this navigation query and kind of figured out what data I was getting back and how that happened. So what I did was I took this navigation query and I said, okay, what is the Azuro team trying to show me here? I went to the Azuro subgraphs. I just picked one of them. Let's just go right back to here. And I'll start going back in history. If no one's used GraphQL before, that's okay. This has a nice history where we can kind of see where we've been on these previous queries. So I was trying to find on this one right here, the sports, the original one's right here, I believe. My query. Let's go back to this one. Let's take a look at the original query. Where is it? Here it is. So I wanted to see the sports filter, and I wanted to say, hey, what sports are we filtering by? And so I wanted to see, okay, well, what is in the sports entity? And what could we filter by? And so I said, okay, let's go ahead and forget all these other filters, has active leagues, filtering where games. If I don't want any of this information. I just want to understand, okay, what sports are we dealing with? So I went back and I said, let's go and actually figure out the sports entity. And you could actually see that sports entity in the toolkit, custom query definitions, where we go into sports, and that is its own entity, sport entity. And we could say, hey, here is the sport entity. It has the entity in the database itself, has an ID. And then the one I'm curious about is the name of the sport to filter by. That would make sense, because I want to actually say, okay, what are the sports here? Let's go ahead and do that. So I had the first 100 sports in this database. So let's take a look, whatever that might be. And I sent that to the endpoint, and we have some sports. We have Dota, CSGO, League of Legends, Counter-Strike, baseball, boxing, basketball, ice hockey. So now I can know, all right, cool. I can start filtering by this information. What should I do next? Next, all I did was I simply went into the query again, and I said, I want to filter by baseball, and I want to forget all the other filters. I don't want to worry about all of the other stuff, have active leagues. I just want to get rid of it all. So I just started to get rid of the other filters, and I sent this one back. Boom, and I sent this out, and we got some information on baseball. We got some entities on baseball. Very cool. And I started to notice we got a lot of games. So there's a huge amount of games, and this is where filtering by first can be very effective. So we can go into here and see what I did again. Where, there we go. I said the first 2 leagues and the first 2 games. Just really keep it very tidy, very small. And from there, I was able to have something that returned and something that I could understand, not getting overwhelmed by data. And now I can understand, hey, we have a sports query where we can know we're playing baseball, and then from there we can go through. And then it's pretty cool with this dynamic query. I think we had Dota 2. I think that was, let's see if I can spell this correctly. Dota 2. I believe that was how they spelled it here. Nope, it's not. You could filter by other sports in here, whatever was in that location, and get more information just dynamically through your front end. So what I would do is I would go through the GraphQL queries that are provided by these awesome devs at Azuro, see what they're trying to get you to query, go ahead and reference the filters and the different field definitions through this incredible document they created, and then try to understand what data you're getting back, because that's really important for the front end. If your front end is clear and you know what data you're getting and you know what queries you're getting back, that really levels up your chances of winning in this hackathon, as opposed to not knowing what data you're getting back and then kind of having a hunch, which doesn't go very well. So I'll keep this quite short and tidy. If anyone has questions about GraphQL and kind of that workflow, if anyone hasn't worked with GraphQL, I'm happy to hang out and chat a little bit. But essentially, that is the workflow that I would go through for any front-end dev who's trying to understand these endpoints and the queries. Well, I just want to appreciate everyone here for building on Azuro and building what you guys are doing with this front-end hackathon. I think this is brilliant, and I'm really excited to see what's coming through.
Perfect. Yulia?
Same here. I'm very excited about this hack, and I hope to see a lot of new UIs and see what you guys come up with, because it's mostly a creative task. So yeah, it's very cool when a hackathon has a creative side to it. So yeah.
Perfect. Well, thanks everyone
Good
for
luck.
joining. Yeah, good luck. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining, everyone watching the recording. Again, if you have any questions, queries, anything like that, just tag us in any of the hackathon channels, or, you know, if the general channel, if you can't find that, and we will direct you there. Yeah, so thanks everyone for joining, everyone watching the recording. Until next time.